Hey, this is Danny Backglass. You're listening to Mapping Around with Scott and Ryan. Episode 3 on 94.7 KC 95 Real Rock Radio.
Hi, Scott.
Hey, Ryan. How are you?
I'm good.
Great.
Yeah.
Right off the bat, I want to apologize for the quality of my voice. I've been talking all day, and I have a sore throat. I don't know if that comes through or not. Today was Clark's 4th birthday, and we hosted a party, so I did a lot of talking.
Just being the MC of the party.
Well, you know how parties
talking to
are.
people. Yeah, gotcha.
Right. You gotta do the rounds and et cetera, et cetera. What have you been up to in the last month?
Well, I could say the last day. Today, that's a little easier to talk about today. We took Hannah to swim class, her second one.
Mm-hmm.
She's 8 months old, so it was just kind of pushing her around in the water, and it's pretty fun. And then my sister came by. She was in LA, and they checked on Hannah, and she listens to the podcast. So, hi, Abby. On that note, we've gotten feedback here and there from people who have listened to the first 2 episodes. So I kind of thought it'd be fun to address some of the feedback really fast, because some of those things are topics we'll be addressing in today's episode. So first off, like a lot of the from friends and family, a lot of the feedback is it's too long, which,
Yeah.
So what? I guess
That's true. I've seen some feedback in general, and I'm not saying it's not too long. It's probably too long.
Yeah.
But the only people who have told us it's too long are friends and family.
Yeah, that's it.
Joe.
Then I think the most common other feedback we've gotten is that people actually like the tech talk. They like the hearing the background, like detailed information about how the map works. And we were, I don't know, maybe a little surprised by that, but that's good. It's encouraging. We'll keep going with it. This other person said that they're, had suggestions for topics, and one of them was covering what's good and bad about tables that are coming out for smaller manufacturers. And I kind of want to note that I don't know if that's our forte, or not my forte at least.
Yeah, I mean, I have an opinion about it, but it's not educated.
Yeah, and there's a couple other podcasts
frankly,
that do that well.
I don't get out and play pinball that much, so who cares?
And then the same person said it might also be interesting to have some operators on and hear their thoughts. Lo and behold, that's what we're going to do this episode. We have an interview coming up later with an operator. Another one is, what ideas do you have for driving engagement with operators, like getting operators on board to use the map and have it help them? And that's something we'll chat about also later in the tips and tactics section at the end of the episode. That'll be dedicated to how the map can work for operators. It's something that some people might not know about, so we might as well chat about it.
Fair. That's very fair. And, Wedgehead here, the operator we interview, has some feedback on that too.
Okay, cool.
What's your appetite for that operator interview?
Yeah. Don't fast forward. Just hang tight. You'll get there eventually. Somebody asked if there's a way to organize locations by date last updated, and I wanted to note that right now there is not, but in the upcoming app there is a way to do that. On that note, then, let's chat about the Patreon, which is something we...
Hey, wait a minute.
What?
Before you do the Patreon, though, sorry.
Uh-huh.
Maybe I'm remembering this wrong, but don't the apps have a feed for updates? Like there's like an update feed that you can look at?
Yeah, you could see the most recent updates. But so that's like, Pirates of the Caribbean was added to Wedgehead. So that, that does kind of get you that information. But but in the new app, say you're looking at you're viewing an area on the map, and it loads 10 locations in that area. Then you can click over to the list view, and it'll show those 10 locations in a list with text. And then there's 3 ways you can sort that list. You can sort that list of locations by alphabetical or by distance or by last updated.
Got it. Okay. That is different. That is new.
Yeah.
Okay.
And the segue to Patreon was going to be that on Patreon, you could do this thing where you can have like members only or like patron only posts, and only people that are patrons can see those posts. And we did a post last month that is like a sneak peek of the app, like a 1 or 2 minute long video showing just some of the features of it and how it looks. I mean, it's pretty rough. There's going to be a lot of like feature and style changes coming up, but we thought it'd be fun to just show that. And so Patreon update then, we launched a Patreon, patreon.com/pinballmap, as a way for people to support the map. And since it's been, I don't know, a little over a month, we have now 26 total patrons. And since the last episode, we've had 14 new ones. And I think we're at a total of $83 a month.
That's pretty good.
Yeah.
That seems good.
So I think in the tech section, we'll talk about what we're using that money for, because this is a new thing, us having money.
No, I mean, it's really cool. I don't want to ruin any future conversations here, but we were on a call with representatives from AWS, Amazon Web Services, the other day, talking about costs and how to cover costs and what our budget was and blah, blah, blah. And it came up in that meeting that maybe we should put ads on the site to try to get more money. And we were able to say, no, we don't want to do that. And the reason we are able to not do that is because of things like the Patreon. So
yeah,
that's great. I mean, I don't want to see ads on there ever.
No. Yeah, no. This is a much better.
And previous it was us spending our own money on it. So it's huge. It's a meaningful impact. So thanks to all of the Patreons.
Yes.
Is that the right name? Patreons? Are the people
you know what?
Patreons?
Yeah, I actually haven't figured that out yet. I feel like sometimes they're called patrons. I think patron might be the thing, but that, I don't know. Why not just call them a Patreon? I feel like, I don't know. Your site's called Patreon. I kind of think it's acceptable to call our supporters Patreons also.
Yeah, whoever you are, thank you for your support.
Whatever you are.
Yeah.
And on that note, yeah, we have shirts for sale still. And they're cool shirts, so you should feel cool if you're wearing them.
I've seen them. I saw them today in person for the first time, and they're pretty good. I think in the previous podcast, I was really talking up the Portland pinball map one, and it is a great one. But I will say the redo of the old shirt with the small logo on the front and the big one on the back, that's pretty good too. It's an attractive shirt.
That. I thought that was a good idea to have it double-sided.
Yeah, double-sided.
One comment I got today was that they're different brand blank shirts than the last time, and these ones run a little bit bigger than before. So keep that in mind.
I will.
I wasn't talking to you.
Oh, sorry. Sorry about that.
Okay.
And now Ryan interviews his dad about a pinball machine that they owned while Ryan was growing up.
So, you grew up outside Chicago.
Yes, I did. Arlington Heights, Illinois.
And that, Chicago, I don't know, this area, I don't know if you knew this, that's where most of the pinball was manufactured in the U.S. There was Gottlieb.
I've heard of them.
Bally.
I know them.
And Stern Pinball, which is, they were in the early 80s, and then they're back again now, and they're in that area. So, as a little kid, were you aware of pinball?
I think at some point I was. We would go, I don't remember playing pinball specifically, but I'm sure we did. And, we didn't have video games when I was young, so we played pinball sometimes.
And then when I was born in 1980, we had Paragon in the house, and that's a 1978 Bally machine. How did we get that?
We got it because from our account, I played in a band. The accountants gave us Christmas presents, and that was my Christmas present. That was it. Got a pinball machine one Christmas.
Wow. Did your accountants know that you liked it? Or
No,
anything?
I think they just, wanted to give something that was cool and hip at the time, and I didn't request it. It was kind of a total surprise.
Wow. And you still have it and still in your garage.
Yeah, we still play it. The grandkids now play it, too.
Yeah.
And the 8-year-old Oliver just got over 100,000 on it a short time ago, and he was very thrilled.
And then in the band you played in, REO Speedwagon.
Yes.
In your video, In My Dreams,
Yes.
that was recorded at your studio.
Well, it was recorded at a rehearsal space.
Space.
Yeah.
And you had 2 machines in the video.
That was
Is that a prop? Or
No, I don't know. It might have been, because I think that that space that we recorded that video in was more not our space, but just a space that the guy making the video used and may have put it in, or may have already been in there. I don't know. But I do remember seeing it in the video, yes.
Yeah, because the other band members liked playing pinball. They'd come over to our house, and everyone liked it.
Well, the record plant had tons of pinball machines, and we recorded there more than once. And
Is that the name of it?
The record plant, yeah, in L.A. That was in L.A. And we played pinball all the time.
Oh, okay. Cool.
Pinball rocks, man.
All right, well, that's probably
All right.
good enough.
Okay.
Map tech. Okay, then let's talk about some map tech.
Tech. In this Map Tech segment, we're going to chat about maps and the technology behind them.
Oh.
Yeah, it's a very literal map tech this time.
Is this the golden map tech?
Yeah.
Because it's the time. Yeah, forget it.
I think it is. Or it's the bronze one.
Yeah.
So in this map tech, we'll chat about moving from using the Google Maps API to an alternative to serve us our maps. Well, here's a little background on what map tile services are. Basically, every time you visit a web map, it consists of these 256 pixel square PNG images that are all georeferenced and stitched together seamlessly. So you're just looking at a bunch of pictures that are in the correct latitude and longitude, and they've been projected from a globe to a flat plane.
Or from a flat Earth to a flat plane.
Exactly. Yeah, you don't know what projection is used. It actually probably uses the Web Mercator projection. And as a quick aside, if you want to know anything more about map projections, because it's very complicated and weird, and I do mapping every day, and I just barely understand them, you could just go to the Wikipedia for map projections, and you see all the crazy ways that people convert a globe or a flat Earth into a flat plane. It's really weird.
I don't work with maps all day. If you'd like to learn more about flat Earth, Google research flat Earth.
Yeah.
So you were saying.
So I was saying, so there's an ice wall around what are we talking about? Okay, so that's it. We got these tiles, and those tiles are sitting on a server. Previously, we were using Google server, and when you bring up a map, or when you search something on Pinball Map, you get these tiles served up to you with like streets and points of interest and things like that overlaid on top.
Sorry to jump in here, but as a map novice, which I am a map novice, I feel like a mind-blowing moment for me is thinking about everything you just said. These are PNG files being stitched together seamlessly. But now think about zooming in and panning around on Google Map.
Mhm.
Think about the level of detail that they, like down to the street level, or all the way up to the earth level. It's got to be like, I mean, we're talking billions of images.
Yeah.
How many images? I don't even.
Yeah, I have no idea how many images. Because, for each zoom level, it's a new set of images because the different levels of
Right.
detail come up on each zoom level. It's crazy. And there's at least, 20, 25 zoom levels.
So for someone to host all that data and serve it up as quickly as it gets served up, I don't know. It's kind of impressive.
Yeah, it feels pretty impressive to me. I think, who knows how much space the Google Maps tiles take up, but if you use OpenStreetMap tiles, I keep seeing ranges for how much space those are, but it's somewhere between 60 to 200 gigabytes just for the Earth.
What's OpenStreetMaps, Ryan?
I'm glad you asked, Scott. So we have been using Google Map for 10 years, and it's been free, and it's been nice. I love Google Maps. I think it's a great service, and it's served us really well. However, they increased their price humongously. It went from free to, we tallied up, it would cost us about $350 or so per month to use their service with their new pricing scheme. Yeah, I mean, it's like, and we have a $200 credit, so that makes the total only $150.
Wait, no, sorry. I have to actually you there, Ryan. The $300 price tag is after the credits applied.
Ah, really?
Yeah, if we didn't, I mean, everyone who signs up gets $200 a month. That's their way of saying it's still free or whatever. But our usage puts us at $525 a month.
Wow,
Yeah.
I didn't realize that.
Yeah.
Okay, that's crazy. Okay, so whatever it is, it's not tenable. And
No.
we had like a couple months, 6 months or something to get off and find an alternative. And we delayed that until about 2 weeks before it was due.
Because frankly, I didn't believe it. Like I didn't, and this is my fault because I have the eyeballs. I guess we both have eyeballs on that console. But for a service that we got for free for so long, I just assumed this was somehow gonna work out. Saying it out loud, it just sounds so dumb, but it feels like such a massive shift in their policy. Which,
yeah, it's humongous. But it did almost work out because we got an early adopter extra credit that kind of floated us for some extra months. Like, if that could have kept going, that would have been all right.
Yeah, totally. And because the service works as good as it does, it's not the kind of thing you want to sink time into or thought, which is, our mistake, I guess.
Unless you really need to.
Yeah. I mean, and the way I think about it in my head is most of us probably get email for free nowadays. Imagine if one day Google said, "Hey, your Gmail accounts now cost $30 a month." You could pay it, but you'd be a little put out, right? Like to the point where maybe you just look somewhere else.
Yeah, you go to Fastmail for $5 a month. Just kidding.
Right. So what is the Fastmail of map services? Surely there is an alternative.
Yeah, from the surface it seems like there is. And our alternatives are using, first for the tiles themselves, using OpenStreetMap, OSM. And that's like an open source, crowdsourced map tile thing, map that you can download and then use. There isn't like a map that you can use just like Google Maps, a web map where you can just use OpenStreetMaps. So it's like the people that create and maintain OpenStreetMap, they all started little side businesses to sell us map tile services. That's how they make money. and make it worth their time to be developers. And I don't know if that's the case with these examples we're going to give right now, but basically there's a lot of options and they're all kind of the same. But we went with Mapbox at first because we had a pinball map user who works at Mapbox and told us, hey, you might be interested because of this massive Google Maps price increase. You might be interested in Mapbox. And we priced it out, and Google Maps is 50,000 free views a month, and then every additional 1,000 views after that is $7, which goes up very, very quickly. It's just the weirdest pricing scheme.
Yeah, it is weird. It is weird.
Yeah, and Mapbox is 50,000 free, and then every additional one is 50 cents.
50 cents? Let's do that.
Let's switch to that. And we did. It's basically a drop-in replacement. You just have to change. How much code did you have to change? A lot or not a lot?
I find this to be pretty clever and funny. So when you use a service like Google Maps, you end up writing methods and calling code to get their objects into your code. What Mapbox did is they made their code essentially almost the same exact syntax that Google used. So I want to say it was like 45 minutes of work and maybe like 20 lines of code that had to be changed in order to make an entire switch to an entirely new service and software. Yeah. It's clever. I mean, if it was a total rewrite, then maybe we wouldn't even have tried it. Right. So problem solved, right? That sounds cheap.
Well, not so fast. What we did at that point was we looked at the console to see how many views were being used on Mapbox and saw that it was racking up around 10,000 views a day. So we were going to hit our 50,000 quota in 5 days. And then, which just, it's way faster than we were with Google Maps. Way, way faster.
Why, it's almost as if the word view means different things to each of these companies.
Yeah, it is exactly almost like that.
Oh.
And here's what it means. To Google Maps, a view is when you load the map. That counts as a view. You can pan, you can zoom, and keep in mind when you're panning and zooming, new map tiles are loading during that time, but it still counts as a single view. Pretty cool. Mapbox on the other hand, they define a view as when 4 tiles load.
4 of those PNG files.
4 of those PNG files. And if you load up a single location on Pinball Map, you might be seeing 8 or 10 of those tiles. That's before you do anything, before you zoom or pan. So what happens is their definition of a view is completely different, and you end up just like eating through those views. So the price comparison between the two is apples to oranges. It's not a good comparison. It doesn't make sense. There's, folks from Mapbox on forums saying that they're a tenth the price of Google Maps. I mean, everywhere it says they're cheaper, and they might be a little bit cheaper, but they're not a tenth the cost.
What was the estimated cost on our Mapbox?
Well, after running it for just like 5 days and seeing those stats, I estimated about $125 a month.
Okay. Still, I mean, definitely better than 300 something bucks, but 125 is well beyond our current budget. And we'd spend all of our money on a map service that we were getting for free a few weeks ago.
Yeah.
Ugh.
Oy. And we did actually chat with the Mapbox people, and they were very nice. I would like to emphasize that they had good customer service, because we had like questions about the viewing. I actually straight up asked them. I was like, is this real that your definition of a view is totally different than Google's definition? And they ended up giving us 3 free months of Mapbox.
Which is awesome.
Yeah, very cool. Gives us some nice breathing room. we're not paying 125 plus a month.
Yeah, and I mean, just to echo what you say, I feel like a goofball complaining about paying for a service that is like amazing, right? Like
Yeah.
you're serving up tiles of pictures of the Earth in near real time, and I'm going to complain that you want me to pay for that, and you're also cheaper than Google. So to be clear, I don't begrudge them their livelihood. It's just a bummer to have to pay for something that used to be free. That's all.
Yeah, and to pay so much more than free.
Right. So what do we do now, Ryan? I guess pinball map's done.
Yeah, we're shutting down in 3 days, and this is our last podcast.
Well, real quick soapbox before your big reveal on why the pinball map isn't shutting down. This might sound a little dramatic, but I honestly do wonder if things like this are going to change the face of the internet as we know it. Because we're a map-centric service, but we're not a huge one, right? Like, there's a lot of people that look at the map, but I'm sure there's much bigger map services out there. But if we are priced out of using this thing, I mean, how many other people just got priced out of using this thing? And it used to be you could just toss a map on your website. Now you're really going to have to think about that, because there might be a real price tag associated with it.
Yeah, definitely. And since I do mapping for my work and for fun, I sometimes have ideas for mapping sites that could make me money or something like that, like a side business. And now how I think of that is totally different, because now I'm like, oh, but I can't, if it got popular, suddenly my bill might be humongous and I can't just dump money into a project that might not go anywhere. Or, it just changes the game of how I think of things like that.
Yeah, and I mean, we can put a number on it, 50,000. If more than 50,000 people look at your map in a month, it will cost you money. And 50,000 doesn't, I mean, that's not a ton, right?
Yeah, and it goes by very quickly depending on which service you're using.
Yeah. So how are we going to save this old pinball map?
We're going to host the tiles ourselves. Is that what you thought I'd say?
Yeah, I guess I was hoping you'd say that, yeah. It sounds very hard.
Yeah, it does sound kind of hard. You have to have a map tile server that serves them up. And fortunately, OSM is kind of in a good place. It just has a good community where there are lots of resources. There's a website called Switch2 with the number 2, OSM, that gives you tutorials on how to do this. There's another service called Map Tiler, which is it's kind of like Mapbox. And they also have a little Docker package for a map server. So, and the Docker package could ostensibly just you could just drop it onto some hard drive somewhere.
Nice. No, I mean, to put some color around that, Ryan and I are, Ryan more than me is capable of running his own servers, and Ryan uses Linux. I'm looking at a Mac right now. We have engaged 2 DevOps experts to volunteer their time. I believe they were paid in T-shirts. To help us through setting up the actual hardware necessary to run a service like this. Because think about it. I mean, I don't know. Is it cool? It feels cool to think that there's going to be a computer out there with pictures of the world whose only chore in life is to serve those pictures to the delight of pinball map users. You just got replaced, Google. Oh, I'm drunk with power.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we get the tiles. We put the tiles somewhere with this amazing software that people wrote for free and are letting us use for free.
Scott, where are we going to store those?
Oh, geez. Well, I have a computer in my basement, but I don't have a reliable internet connection. Heroku might be able to do that, but I kind of don't think so. It sounds like you need a pretty beefy machine to do that. Where would you go to get a highly configurable, beefy machine in the modern age?
Well, I'd probably go to the beefiest place on earth, Amazon.
Yeah, so kind of in line with our last podcast conversations, we're continuing to engage AWS, Amazon Web Services, which is a suite of software. I don't know, is that the right way to say this? Massive warehouses of hardware that people have written software on top of that lets you stand up machines and infrastructure and then have users talk to those machines to get pictures on their computer. So in addition to our plan of migrating the actual API and web server, now we're going to set up a map server there. So that's great news. And I don't know how much detail we should get into here, but
we're still working all that out. But
yeah,
we've been chatting with a couple people from AWS, and one of whom is a pinball map user.
Right.
Maybe we've already mentioned that.
I don't think we have, but it's great because this guy's really helping us out, and excited to see where it goes, along with our DevOps team of Elijah
and Jordan.
Yep.
Elijah's in your neck of the woods, and Jordan's in my neck of the woods.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
One of these days, we should have some sort of pinball map. What do people have? Like a company retreat?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Company repose? Anyway.
A company kickback?
What were you going to say?
I was going to note that we're even once we're using OSM map service on our own server, we're still going to be using the Mapbox GL JavaScript in order to help us communicate with the server and serve up those tiles, because Mapbox created an open source free JavaScript program. That's the drop-in replacement part that for Google Maps. So we can still use that, which is nice. And it's a very customizable one. You can add, you can create themes, which I think is always really fun. You can create you could customize the info window and the pin, the map pin. It's really customizable, and I think that's going to be fun to work with.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought that part up, because it's important, I think, to divorce the two concepts of tiles and software to show tiles. And for people who don't care at all about our conversation about tiles, maybe you care about the software part, and actually, this is something you can see right now. Like if you go on the Pinball Map website and look at a map, you are looking at the new mapping software that we're using. And this is where I'm going to call for feedback, because I got an opinion here, and I don't think we agree on this necessarily. I think the Mapbox GL software is super cool, does all this customization work that I know you get really into, but I am a little worried that it's kind of heavyweight. Like I have an older computer, and if I go to the site, sometimes it feels like it's dragging a little bit. Like it's like so cutting edge and cool that maybe it doesn't work as well on older computers like mine. So anyway, I'm not bringing that up to be a downer. I'm bringing it up to say that there are multiple map tile software display mechanisms, and some are lighter weight. So I'm putting it out there. I'm saying if you're like me and your machine's dragging a bit, let us know, because we can always try lighter weight ones too.
Yeah, or we also might be able to turn off some of the animations or something.
Yeah,
like
it's
that.
The animation.
Make it a little more light.
Yeah, I think that's it. Like with Google Maps, you'd load it up, and it felt like a static image almost that you dragged around. Now it feels like I'm playing Doom 2 Quake.
Yeah, there's this big swooping animation where it pans out to the world and then zooms in. It's like, I don't need that. And
it's cool. It looks cool. I notice the the performance. That's all.
Yeah, I will have to figure out what that is. That might be the pan 2 function. That's my guess, but that's all I could see in there that's doing that. But
Okay,
whatever. There's probably ways to just like a binary to turn that off.
Well, feedback appreciated, and it's a work in progress. So the good news is, well, there's mostly bad news here, I guess. The bad news is suddenly we had to pay for something that we used to get for free. We found that it was basically impossible to not pay for it. We're mitigating the cost as much as we can by hosting our own service, and we got lucky that people are helping us do that, but it still is going to cost money. The other bad piece of news here is, I don't know about you, but this is what I've been doing for like a month.
Yeah.
Like imagine somebody's, hey, this thing that used to be just there, now you got to replace it.
Yeah. We'd rather be spending our time working on other stuff on the map. I'd rather be spending more time on the React Native app than this.
Yeah. So to be continued.
Hey, check it out. Next up on Mapping Around with Scott and Ryan, we have an interview with Chris Rhodes, longtime operator and now a recent owner of a new bar / club / pinball arcade on Sandy in Northeast Portland called Wedgehead. Chris has also been a longtime supporter of the tournament scene and the pinball community in Portland, and also one of the original gang leaders, OOO, Out of Order, one of CFF's first rivals. Check it out.
So tell me about Wedgehead, where we are right now.
Okay, so I don't know. This is always a tough question. Like I did a little radio interview, and they're like, "So tell us about it," and I'm like, "What do you want to know?"
Right, right.
I could, we inherited this building from a place called the No, and we removed the stage and did a lot of work to the building, and we tried to build a place where you could play pinball or you could hang out in a bar and it's comfortable.
Were you an operator for the No?
Yes.
Were you an operator for the No when it was on Alberta?
Yes.
Ryan and I used to hang out there and play.
Yeah.
We played the Family Guy there.
Yeah, that was my Family Guy.
Okay, nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, the Family Guy. The one that always has been at the No and is continually be here is The Sopranos.
Of course.
Yeah, like that game, I've taken special effort to make sure that it's working really well all the time. And I've been told that people are like, "This is the best working Sopranos around." So.
Is that in general a pretty big route machine? I see Sopranos all over the place.
Yeah, it is. I mean, it's George Gomez. He knows
yeah.
how to sell a game. It's happening with Deadpool right now. You know, it's like George Gomez designs earn. Lord of the Rings. Batman, whatever it was, Batman Dark Knight. People love playing that game.
Yeah.
Because I think they're good beginners games for people. I feel like they get their money's worth because you can play it for a long time, get several multi-balls.
Right. And the themes
replays.
are always good for a bar, I'd imagine too.
Yeah,
Sopranos.
That's pretty much true. Yes. Sopranos. It's so funny how often Sopranos come up. Like a friend of mine, who's just watching Sopranos for the first time, and we were talking about it the other day. It was pretty fun. He's just like, I'm just watching it for the first time, so all of it's starting to make sense from the game. It's he's piecing it all together.
Yeah, Stu Gotts and all that stuff.
Oh, yeah.
Back to Wedgehead. I mean, first time I just walked in. It's amazing, huge space. I like that there's a game area and there's a kind of a hangout area.
Yeah,
too.
that's purposely done so people could be comfortable hanging out. If you don't want to spend quarters, there's a place to eat and drink. And we've created a food, a menu that is definitely edible. It's really good. Our kitchen manager, my business partner, Alan Robertson, is definitely a great cook. He was at Clyde Common. He was the kitchen manager at Bunk Sandwiches for a number of years, so he's got a lot of chops.
San Diego style tacos. Did I read that right?
He wants to make that happen on Tuesday nights.
Oh, Taco Tuesday.
Fish tacos, but that's going to be a rotating thing. It's not on the menu yet. So.
Okay.
Yeah, we haven't even rolled out our whole menu yet. We're probably at about 65% of it right
Okay.
now.
When did you open officially?
We had our soft opening last Tuesday, which was September 11th.
Oh,
A great day.
never
Cheers
forget.
for-
Yeah.
Never forget,
Yeah.
So we had a soft opening, and we had a tournament the next night. Went dark for a day, and then last Friday was our first real business day. We've been open since.
Are you planning on doing regular events here?
Yeah, that's something that I don't know. I want people to hold events here. I don't know if I necessarily want to be the person planning them.
Got it.
Because, I mean, I might try to do some fun stuff every once in a while, but I think there's enough people in the community who are doing things that if they want to do them here, I'm very welcoming to whoever wants to come in and try to do something. I feel like there's almost tournament fatigue in this town. Like, it seems like every night of the week there's a different event going on.
Yeah.
And I don't want to try to get into that mix. I want someone to come in and do it. And I mean, that just helps people feel like they're more connected to the place as well. So.
Sure. You did run tournaments where machines were the prize, right? You buy in, you play, you get a machine.
No, I've never
No.
done that.
Oh, okay.
No.
I got my facts wrong.
I would I'd bring machines to tournaments, and whatever the collection was, I would give away like 75% of the collection or something.
I gotcha.
And they were usually like really old games, like that nobody had ever seen before, and nobody knew how to play. So that's been kind of a signature of the way that whenever there's a tournament at my locations, I don't reveal what's going to be there. I'll swap out games right before, so players won't know what they are.
Makes
Just
sense.
to kind of mess with people. Like when I've done the state when I hosted the state tournament the first couple of years, I wouldn't release, I would have 23 machines at the old mill. I think it was 20, maybe it was 17 or 18, but I would bring them all in like right before and not let anybody know what they were.
Nice.
Yeah.
I don't really compete. I just have machines I like. And what I find is over time these tournaments happen, and then it gets harder and harder to get those machines. Like Skateball, Frontier, most recently Fast Break. Like these machines show up, and it seems like everybody just plays them over and over again. So the surprise element makes a ton of sense.
Yeah, that's the level playing field.
Yeah.
And Greg Dunlap, he hosts a lot of tournaments, and he's a tournament player, and it seems like he gets a kick out of it. Like he thinks it's hilarious how I do it. But
Unveil. The big unveil.
It's kind of like come check it out.
Are you still gonna operate around town outside of here? Oh, nice.
I've gotten rid of a couple locations, but not many.
Okay. I've always been curious as an operator. It's usually 50-50 split or whatever the deal is with the owner. When you get paid out, do you just get like a bucket load of quarters, or do they write you a check? How does that work?
Well, I pay them out. So I do a
you
percentage
take it out,
split with
okay.
the bars, and then I pay them out, and I usually pay them in cash.
So you're walking out of there with buckets full of quarters, like constantly.
I have, when I do bank runs, I'll have like $5,000 in quarters.
Oh my god.
I have like a little like a little dolly that with a milk crate, and I toss all the bags of quarters in there, and then I go and change them.
Cool.
Bank runs usually take me like 45 minutes an hour.
So it really is just like you go home, you dump it in a machine, it rolls it, and then you show up.
No, they won't take rolls. So
What
it's
is it?
all loose quarters in plastic bags.
Whoa.
And then they
Weigh
take
'em?
those and they run them through a machine. And then I have an old Clop is the name of the company. It's a counter. And I had a hand crank in for a number of years I got from one of my locations. It's over in St. John's called Slim's.
Yeah.
It's an old time bar it used to be the doctors and all those people used to go there. And they used to have a bank in the front, actually, where you could cash your paychecks and stuff like that.
Really?
But they had one in the back, and when the new guy took over, he's like, "Hey, you want this?" He sold it to me for $30, and it was a hand crank. And I have actually like a callus right here on my index finger from cranking it. And then recently I think I dated that one back to the 40s. And I recently got one that is exactly the same, but has a motor in it, and it's super old too. And it's I count all the quarters one by one. you know.
Speaking of St. John's, I saw that this place was almost in St. John's. As a St. John's resident and a guy who plays at Stones, that's my only place.
Yeah.
I'm very happy for you, and this is an amazing location.
Yeah.
I'll say when this works out and you expand, please consider.
Hey, man, this was, I mean, I don't want to say it was second choice, but this kind of opportunity felt like after we tried to set up in St. John's, and we had a bunch of hurdles that we couldn't overcome with the city and zoning and stuff like that. Like, we applied for permits, and when we went through planning, they told us one thing, and then once the permits were submitted, they told us something else, which caused us to not be able to. So when that fell through, we were bummed out, and me and Alan were just threw it in the trash. Like, I didn't even think about any, because it was a lot of time and effort that I put into that, money too. And then it was like, I don't even want to think about opening a place. And then the opportunity of this came up.
Yeah, it's an amazing location. I imagine like dealing with the OLCC and all that stuff has got to be kind of a pain.
Not so bad. I mean,
Not so bad.
they're just a state-run organization. You just got to follow their rules and turn in the paperwork on time and just be diligent about following up on stuff. And
easy.
I mean, it's not easy, but it's work, you know. But it's not any different than anything else. I mean, if you're a felon, I can imagine it would be a problem.
Yeah,
but
sure.
I'm not a felon yet, or hopefully.
When you were an operator, or primarily an operator, or I don't know how you characterize now, I imagine you're a restaurateur, bar owner / operator. Whatever. When you were pushing the routes, was there, for a user of your machines, is there etiquette that you expect people to follow? Like, obviously don't beat the shit out of the machine, but if I show up and it's off at a bar and there's no sign on it, am I allowed to turn it on? Am I allowed to turn it off if it's broken?
I would just shut them off, and like if I get a call from the location, I'll say put a sign on it and shut it off.
Yeah.
If there's a sign on it, people usually don't turn it on. But I've started actually pulling the fuse out of the machine so people can't turn it on.
Oh, nice.
Because I had a Centaur over at Blackbird that somebody turned on and it fried out a coil because it was like locked on because of switches.
Yep.
So it's like the new machines kind of are safeguarded against that sort of thing. But so I just pulled the main fuse for the game. So people, like, I tried to turn it on, it wouldn't do anything. It's like, or unplug it, you know.
Yeah, and it's on, it's not working, they blame you. Yeah. Out of Order, that's still what you're operating as, right?
That's my amusement company, yeah.
Was this a pinball gang at some point as well?
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
We started with CFF. Like CFF was kind of starting and doing their thing. This is a long time ago. I don't even know what year. But then I was like, all right, well then I'm creating Out of Order because I want to be you can't be the only gang in town.
Right.
You got to be rivals.
Yeah.
And we had a couple rumbles, like I think 3 rumbles, like whereas we had like teams and we'd play each other. And CFF always had way more members than us, so like they had deeper pockets for people to play. And I think we beat them in one rumble, and they won the other 2.
Nice.
So
yeah, I remember CFF and OLO are the 2 that are kind of burned in my head. You play around town, maybe.
There's still some guys.
Too.
There's still some guys who played with us who still put up OOO. So,
oh, nice.
Yeah, I stopped putting up OOO. When I started operating games, I was just like, I don't want to have any beef with anybody. Not that CFF and I have ever really had a beef. It was kind of like a fun rivalry. Yeah. And it's like ever since I started operating, it's like, I don't really want to, you know, I want everybody to play the games. So it's like, I don't want any weirdness or anything like that. So I still, if I'm playing on games that aren't mine and I get a high score, I'll put up OOO. But on my games on location, if I'm testing them and playing them, and not cheating or anything like that, I'll put up a bub. Yeah, B-U-B. And if any marijuana's been in my system, I'll put bud. Which very rarely anymore if there's any pot, but you know, whatever.
Nice. How did you learn how to do this? Like fix machines and fix them at scale? Like people can tinker, but you're, flipping machines all day long.
I get help from people still. I mean, I try to do a lot of it myself. It's kind of like, the whole learning curve. And it's like I was climbing for the longest time, and now I'm like I'm a little bit the way down.
Oh yeah.
I'm not a super. I'm totally dyslexic, and I'm not really good at reading things. So I watch instructional videos.
Yeah.
I do read some things, but like the super technical stuff, I kind of just fake it till you make it. You just kind of keep doing it, and then like rely on people's Google search. I mean, computer figure anything out these days, it seems.
Yeah.
So it's just been a kind of going against, like, just trying to figure it out. And it's just kind of happened.
Do you use, as an operator, do you use the pinball map at all? Or do you rely more on bartenders at locations?
I do sometimes. I usually, I like the public to kind of run it, because I feel that's the way it should be. Like when I get service alerts, like I usually have already been told by the bar, but I like getting the emails saying like, hey, this machine's screwed up. But some people, some of the comments though are just have really nothing to do with like the actual how a machine works. It's more so people complaining that the machine's too hard.
Yeah.
Because I set my tilts really tight. I put my machines really steep. People don't like it, but it's like I kind of feel like the harder you set up a machine, the better people are going to play.
Yeah.
It's like because I come from the lineage of skateboarding, and like skateboarding parks we've built, and people would be like, how the fuck am I going to skate that thing? It's so steep, it's so scary. And then 2 years later, kids are pulling airs on it. And it's like you build it, people figure it out.
Yep.
So it's like, it might not be the best for the beginner player, but it's what's going to get you to be a better player.
Well, I mean, you're definitely a really reliable operator in this town. We get operators using the map that will delete other operators' machines or tell us to remove their machines because people will comment that their stuff's broken and the operator won't go fix it, but they also don't want that message on there. So there's shenanigans. Is what I'm trying to say. Like, it's really goofy.
I'm all for power of the people. Like if I don't update the map, I figure someone will come in and play who will update the map.
Yeah.
I mean, I think players will work it out themselves, man. The public is smart enough and fast enough and quick enough to take care of it themselves.
Can we do a lightning round?
Sure.
Hardest machine to keep running?
Right now, I've been battling Black Hole. I hate Black Hole. I mean, I fucking hate it. And my other nemesis is Theater Magic. Which I haven't had Theater Magic on location for a long time, and I brought it back out, and I have it here at Wedgehead, and it's like, I'm having problems with quarters. They're not getting stuck in the mechanisms. They're getting stuck in the slot after the mechanism for some crazy reason.
So not a playfield issue?
No, the trunk is a goddamn shit show. Like, the eddy sensors, like, game is a drag.
What about the garage on Simpsons?
I've never had a problem with it.
Never had a problem?
Mine started getting slow, and then I put a little bit of synthetic lube on the two. There's two, like, where the door hinges. Mm-hmm. Like, I put a little bit of lube on that, and then the thing started playing, like, super, like, king, and it would open up right away.
Okay.
So I've never really had a problem with it. So.
Best moneymaker. Title, not necessarily machine on location, but I'll take both if you know.
I mean, it's usually whatever's the newest out. Like
Iron Maiden,
Deadpool. Before that was Star Wars. Before that it was, like new games earn big, but like over the long haul, Sopranos has been really reliable for me. Lord of the Rings, all the games that are super popular.
Yep.
Medieval Madness. I only got a Medieval Madness remake. I didn't think I would ever have one. Like, when I would start new locations, people were like, do you have a Medieval Madness? I'm like, no, and I probably never will. Like, I'm sorry,
It's like $10,000.
Yeah, it's like $10,000 plus for a machine that was built in '91, and I'm like, I don't have. I mean, it'll take a long time to earn that back.
Yeah.
Like, it's just a business thing.
What neighborhood in Portland is the roughest on the machines?
None, man. It seems like people are pretty kind to my machines. I mean, I'm there to fix them when they're broken, and people see that, occasionally I'll get a sticker put on the side of one of them. I hate that.
Yeah.
But, I've had the lock bar carved like once, maybe twice, but like for the most part, like I mean, I had machines at the No in Alberta when that place was kind of dark and whatever it was, and people were almost the nicest to the machines over there. Found my locations are kind of a little bit handpicked too.
Yeah.
Like I don't like sports cars and stuff like that. I don't do that sort of thing. So I can imagine there, like with some Jockos, might get a little bit aggressive with the machines.
Yeah. Okay. I think you answered this, but personal all-time favorite machine.
Big Casino.
Big Casino. What is it about Big Casino?
I don't know. We should go play it, but it's so it's an EM. You got to push the ball to serve the ball into the playfield, and the flippers are way like on the opposite edges of the cabinet. And people look at it and they're like, "This is going to be impossible." And I put some really the silicone rubbers on there so the ball bounces like crazy, and it's like the ultimate nudge and flip game. Like it really teaches you how to play pinball. It's like watch how the ball is going to hit something and the angle it comes off of, and when you're going to be conscious of, don't just swing at it like when you hit it, where it's going to hit off the bat.
Yeah.
It's really fun, man. It's really fun.
I should have checked before I came, but I imagine this place has got to be one of a handful of places in town with EMs or Wedgeheads, any of that stuff.
Yeah, maybe, yeah.
I
try to...
Ground Control had that bowling game for a while.
Kingpin, yeah.
Now that's not there.
I don't think they have it anymore.
Yeah.
I try to, if I have more than 5 machines on a location, I try to put something that has a little bit of history. And just because, if you get a bunch of games that everybody else has, like, why not try to mix it up a little bit? Like, I really try to curate lineups where it's like you get a little bit old, a little bit of new. Like, try to keep a certain amount of DMDs, new Sterns, solid state, maybe an EM. I really try to balance all that. So if I take a 90s DMD game out of the place, I'll put another one back in.
Gotcha.
Like if I take a Stern out, I'll put another Stern in its place. It's kind of the way that I work it out in my mind.
Yeah, keep the ratios.
Yeah, when I do big swap outs, I'll draw like a little flow chart where I'll have all the locations in circles and then draw lines where they're all going to go to.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
You have like 100 machines or something like that?
Yeah, I got over 100 machines.
And there is a warehouse in Linton that has all these machines?
I don't know if I want to disclose that.
Is there a machine you'd never put on location?
No.
No.
That's what they're for, man.
Bonsai run on location if
If I had one.
Okay.
I don't have one, but I would do it for sure, man.
Okay.
That's what they're for. I mean, I got a Fathom over there. That's a valuable game that people are like, no, you can't.
Yeah.
I mean, I said this in an article before. It's like, this is what they're made to do. Put quarters in the slots. They're not made to be hoarded in somebody's garage. Mm-hmm. They're meant to be played and have quarters ran through them. So it's I've taken a lot of like the EMs, like I've changed them back so they can take quarters again because they were all on free play. Like I have 2 Gottliebs here, the Incredible Hulk and Black Hole was the same way, that were wired when you hit the start button, it automatically adds credits. So I had to take that out, that hack out, because I want the games to take quarters, man. Yeah. It's when they're happiest. It's when the operator's happiest.
Yeah, fair.
And by the way, I hate free play on, it's cool to get a lot of people in the door, but people don't, they'll just hit 4 players on a game and then walk off, and then the next player walks up, they want to play a fresh game, and then you got to either drain all the balls or power cycle it.
Yeah, that's the worst.
Yeah, I do not like it at all.
It's a waste of time.
Yeah.
Would you ever consider putting linked fast breaks on location in St. John's?
For sure, man. I would love it. I mean, it would be great. Like I said, I would love to do something in St. John's.
Okay.
That was my first choice. I mean, I love that neighborhood. I live in the hood, so it's like that's my spot.
Same. But for now, we're at Wedgehead in the Hollywood district, where the No used to be. Amazing lineup, great food. Come on down.
Noon to midnight every day. Minors till 6 o'clock. And yeah, man. Anything else? Go to the website or Facebook page.
Okay. Come put quarters in these machines. Thanks, Chris.
Yeah, thank you.
Hit me with some stats.
Yeah, here's some fun ones.
Hmm.
Ready to have fun, Scott?
I am. This would be the only fun I've had today.
Yeah.
Lay it on me.
Here we go. 2 minutes of fun. I thought it'd be interesting to see how many locations on the map are called saloons.
Oh.
And how about you guess? How many saloons are there that have pinball?
Saloons. Let's see. How many locations again?
5,689.
I'm flashing back to the first episode where I reasoned these out for like 10 minutes. 5,000. All right. This is Midwestern. No. I'll say there are 150 saloons with pinball.
Not quite. There are, well, this has actually changed a couple since last time, but I think there's 66 now.
Okay.
Yeah.
As an aside, I'm looking forward to playing Red Dead Redemption 2 in October. I really enjoy westerns and saloons.
So you'll probably hop into a saloon in that game?
Yeah, definitely be in some saloons.
Nice. Well, you could go to a saloon in real life also.
I don't... do we have saloons in Portland?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I mean...
There's got to be one, right?
Yeah. Just... What is there? I'm actually looking this up.
We're both typing now.
There's two. There's
Two.
Silver Star Saloon.
Uh-huh.
Oh, that's in Vancouver, Washington.
No, it's got to be Water Trough Saloon. Water Trough Saloon?
Water Trough Saloon.
Oh, operated by
Hawthorne.
Quarter World.
Mm-hmm.
They got Kiss and Pirates.
It's the Kiss LE, though.
That's a pass.
Okay.
All right. What other fun are we having?
I thought it'd be fun to... This is just something I noticed when machine comments would come in, that a lot of the times people were misspelling the word Slimer, and they were spelling it Slimmer.
Like 2 M's instead of 1?
Yeah, 2 M's.
Okay, Slimmer.
And I didn't want to... this isn't to, criticize you if you don't know how to spell Slimer. Okay.
I get it.
But it just, there was more than 2, and that stood out to me.
It's the kind of thing where they know who Slimer is, which is to their credit, but they probably don't care enough about Ghostbusters to have read the word Slimer a lot,
Right.
Whereas like we probably had those little record books when you were a kid where they tell you the story of Ghostbusters.
Yeah.
And it says Slimer. Anyway.
Yeah. And this isn't a word you use outside of Ghostbusters.
No.
All right. So you're going to guess. So there are 14 total instances of a comment that talks about Slimer. And how many of those, Scott, are spelled Slimmer?
I'll say I'm also very curious to see how many of those have a capital S, like a proper noun, versus Slimer. 14. How many say Slimmer? Oh, geez. Well, it seems to have jumped out at you, so I will say 8 of them say Slimmer.
No, only 5. But
5. Okay.
So basically 5 do and 9 don't, which is good. That's 36% say Slimmer.
That's pretty good. Yeah. That was fun.
Yeah. And those are the stats.
Let's discuss about this now. Let's discuss about this now.
Let's discuss about this now. Scott, when you're out playing pinball with your friends or your coworkers or your family, and you're not the one playing, you're playing a 2-player game, it's not your turn, they're playing. What do you do when you're waiting for your turn to play? Let's discuss about that.
Oh boy. Man. So there's a number of different things I will do. But this is a challenge. Will you indulge me for some history?
Go for it.
A moment here.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think my mom listens to this podcast, so this this shouldn't be a problem. But I'm a nervous. Oh, well, not so much anymore. But there was definitely a time in my life when I was a nervous public person, especially in a bar situation. So much so that back when you could smoke in bars, there were a few times I tried to start smoking just so I'd have something to do with my hands. I know, it's ridiculous. Luckily, it never took. Like, I could never get through a pack of cigarettes, and I just gave up on that.
Yeah.
But it's always been a challenge. Well, I think I'm through it. I'm fine now. But it was a challenge for a long time to think about what to do when there really wasn't a clear thing to be doing in a public space. And this, to me, is the core of the question here. So nowadays, I think it's going to depend on the game being played, who's playing, who else is around, and where I'm at. Mm-hmm. Like, if it's a new game, I'm definitely going to watch. Mm-hmm. If it's only me and this other person playing, I'll definitely watch. If there's multiple people playing, then it's chaos. Like, I'm probably going to have a conversation. I'm going to be drinking a beer, most likely. Yeah, but and here's like the sad third option. Is that even? I don't even know what the other two options are. And I see more and more of this nowadays. The old cell phone, right?
Yeah.
Like, you see people pull out the phone to check on something real quick, and like there's that feeling when you're the one playing and you do really well or like you do really poorly, and you turn around expecting to have a conversation about what just happened, and someone's looking at their phone. It's a real downer, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah. I feel like this is kind of what I was hoping we'd talk about in this section, is that it is a downer. That's something I've noticed. Cell phones have been around for many years now, but when I lived in Portland, I swear we just didn't care as much about them. And now we're more prone to scooping them up into our face when we have a free moment. And I notice it especially in LA when I play with Danny, because he's like the only one I play with here, and I played with him a lot in Portland too. And it's a little different now, not to disparage him, but there are a fair amount of times when what you described it happens exactly, where I'm really excited, or like I got like an unlucky drain or something crazy happened. I spin around and I'm all excited, and he's looking at his phone and he didn't see anything. And I'm like, and he's like, what? Oh, sorry, man. I had to do this.
Yeah.
And I'm like, all right, well, it's your turn.
I think, and, obviously not picking on Danny here. Like,
no.
Everybody does that now. And it's weird because, and I think what you said earlier resonated with me, spare moment. People think they have a spare moment, so they look at their phones. We've decided that when you are not playing pinball, that is a spare moment now. Like, once upon a time, you'd be doing something else. It's not that you'd be sitting there staring at a wall. Like, I don't know. That's weird. I don't really have a solution to that. I guess it, to me, feels like we've discarded activities, and now they're considered spare moments.
And, there is a balance when you're watching someone, and if you're looking over their shoulder and watching them play, there's a balance in how much you can engage with them during that time. It depends on how casually you're playing, or how open that other person is to hearing you chatter over their shoulder.
Yeah.
And I gotta talk about Danny again. But he doesn't like it so much if I make a comment while he's playing. And that's just because we happen to have a relationship where sometimes I make comments at the wrong time, and he thinks it causes him to drain. And then he spins around and he blames me. He's like, great, thanks a lot. Good comment. And,
I'm with Danny here. I'm totally with Danny. I feel like when I play, I love talking to people, but I need to be the one talking. Unless I'm talking to you, don't talk to me, kind of thing.
But what if you're just like, what if all you need to do is hit that lock, and it seems clear to me watching you that you just have like no idea that you're on ball 3, you're just behind my score. All you gotta do is knock it in that lock scoop, and you're good to go. You don't want
want
me
it.
to just be like, hit the lock, dude.
No, I mean, I think your heart's in the right place. I think you're only trying to help. But for me, when I'm playing, the only way I'm going to play well is if I'm in the zone. And you can't be in the zone with a voice in your head. You got to be your own voice.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, if you're not playing, whatever. It's pinball. It's fun. I'm going to, and Elijah is a talker. I'm not going to get super mad about it or anything, but I do play my best when either I'm focused or in a conversation that I feel I have initiated.
Yeah.
That's all. So, yeah, I tend to not talk to people when they're playing. That is not a thing I do.
And then when they drain, do you comment usually? Or are you like, wow, that was a great ball, but you missed that one shot so many times. That looked frustrating.
I feel like when you and I were playing a lot, our post-ball conversations would be more retrospective. Like, oh, I was trying to do this and then this happened. But nowadays it's just like, hey, good ball. Just because we're not, at least the people I'm playing with, we're not as, I don't know what the word, we're not practicing, put it to you that way. We're playing, we're not training.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I was in it to win it. I was training. I needed to maximize.
We all were, to some degree.
Yeah.
So yeah, when there's a lot of people standing around a machine, it's often hard for me to tell where to stand. And then as I'm trying to figure it out, I become aware of my arms and my hands. And then I don't know what to do with them.
What about scooping your thumbs in your belt loops? You try that?
That feels very like, if I do that, I have to start leaning forward and backward, I did hands in back pockets for a while.
Mm-hmm.
That felt fine, but if you do it for too long, you feel like you're grabbing your own butt, because you kind of are, right? And you can't do that for too long.
Yeah, it just starts building up, like your hands are in there, and then one squeeze turns into two, and, suddenly you're just squeezing your own butt.
Maybe that's where the cell phone comes in, is people have a hands moment, and that's where their hands go, and then the focus is gone. I'm going to think about this more. I don't have a good go-to thing that I do when someone else is playing.
Okay. That's good then.
Okay.
What do you do, listeners?
Yeah. What's your favorite thing to do when you're adjacent to pinball and will likely play it soon, but are currently not playing it?
Now it's time to dip in with Danny B.
All right, now I want to chat with Danny B. We're dipping in. We're actually literally dipping right now.
We are really
We're at Philippe's
dipping in.
Original eating French dip sandwiches. And we're dipping with Danny B.
That's right. How you doing?
I'm great.
Mr. Gratz or sir?
I'm good. So last we left off, you were taking acid.
Really?
And like huffing, and talking about playing pinball as a kid. I want to just
God, those were the days.
Yeah. I want to just, we'll sweep over many years right now. I just want to note, you had a bit of a drug problem for a number of years. Since I've known you, you have not. I've known you for 10 years. I've never known that side of you.
Yeah.
It's just like some thing from your past.
It's a long past.
Yeah.
Yes, this would be true.
But it is something you did experience. You were a junkie?
Yeah. I did a little of that. Had a little problem with the, due to circumstances, and I went through a little trauma that I would say the normal average person doesn't have to endure. Just in a lot of areas of my life too, and it's all just very circumstantial. The west side of Chicago is kind of going through a gentrification process, and I honestly believe that they were like pumping dope into the community and trying to get the people who had already lived within that community hooked so that they could take over the community. But that's all another podcast.
And you got hooked.
But I did, yeah.
But when I met you, you were in and you still are. I met you through the Crazy Flipper Fingers pinball gang in Portland.
Correct.
Which, you know, they are a group of folks that would meet every other week. We'd meet at a bar, and people would get pretty trashed.
Right.
There'd be a lot of drinking. However,
Right, they used to say we're a drinking gang with the pinball problem.
yeah. Nice. And but beneath all that, there were a number of guys in there that were recovering.
Yeah.
DDT, Jay, he didn't drink, did he?
No, yeah, Jay stopped drinking a real short time after I did. Maybe right around the same time, I think.
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah, I almost feel like it started sort of a chain effect. I mean, before I had moved to the Northwest, like, I had never known anybody who didn't do some form of chemical, you know, whether it be herb or cigarettes or booze or whatever the fuck. Like, everybody had something, you know. And if they didn't, there was some other vice, like gambling or sports or girls or boys or
So was there
girls
something?
and boys.
Was there something in like the?
Oh, baby.
Hey, was there something in CFF in this pinball group that helped you? Because on the outside it would say, and on the outside it would look like it would not help you because people were just like getting trashed together.
Getting trashed, and
However,
nobody was sober until I got in. That was a kind of an issue with me. Well, I had just come off like being homeless and and basically living out of a GMC conversion van, and not in Portland. I was never homeless in Portland, but you know, I had moved there with, you know, from my last friend in the world. It helped me a lot, man. Like, I always looked at, I didn't want to, you know, I think that's the hard part about getting clean. And granted, like, I wasn't like, I mean, I was definitely like had drinking problems and that, you know, whatever. But especially after I got off the dope, like, I tried to drink a few more times, and it was really excessive and scary. I had started having like my first major blackouts where I'd black out like, you know, 7-8 hours of the day, and wake up in Taco Bell over there on 50th and in Foster, like right by DV8. I woke up with a burrito, sleeping on a burrito, watching American Idol or some shit, and I was like, man, I can't. I had a TV in the van, like a little TV in the back.
Okay.
And I remember I woke up and like I was like so early in the morning, and I was like, and I'm like, oh fuck, and I hadn't eaten, and then there's the diabetes and all that, so I probably should have eaten that burrito. And,
you didn't eat it. You were sleeping on it.
I was sleeping on it. It's like all on the side of my face. My face was a little burnt. I mean, there was definitely that aspect of it, but for me, it was, I think the scary thing about cleaning up and that is like everything you have to give up that you associate with that, you know, like pinball definitely, like, man, I'm not gonna lie, like, I sat in a lot of Chicago places and shot dope in the bathroom and played pinball. You know, there was a Fishtails right down the street. I used to, on Chicago, that place is like a nice burger joint now, but it was a little shithole white trash bar on the west side there, over on like Chicago and California, and there was a Fishtails up in there, and I used to, and it was like right at the safe place, so I used to go in there and play fish. I mean, there's a lot of things you associate with drinking, all that stuff, but I didn't want to give up. Pinball allowed me to like stay in the vein of like having some sort of social that wasn't just whitewash, you know, like recovery stuff, and I gotta stay away from the stuff, and everybody who uses, like, yeah, I mean, that's probably smart to do, you know, but I never really felt threatened either. That everybody in the gang knew, you know, like, because Matto told them. Matto was the guy who lived with in Portland and knew John Ray, Tilt, you know, and he broke it down to me as like, dude, if you see him drinking, like, beat his ass. I remember the first time I met DDT, he was still drinking, and I was like, yeah, he had, you know, had some substance abuse problems within his, you know, his family and friends and all that. So, you know, we started talking, and he, you know, straight up said, if I ever see you walking down Burnside on the west side, I'm gonna beat your ass. And that's when Burnside was, you know, you could cop down there when the Burger King was open and all that. I'm gonna beat your ass, you know. And if anyone knows DDT, a drunk DDT at that, it was like, well, fuck that. I mean, I remember I had a couple like squirrely times where I went down to try to look and cop down there, and I was looking over my shoulder for DDT. I never did. Like, luckily, circumstantially, I never did any drugs. Or I drank a couple times in Portland, but I haven't fucked with any drugs since then, man. Nobody in Portland would know me loaded on anything.
We'd look out for you and whoever else was in recovery. It wasn't acceptable for you guys to just like be like, oh, everyone else is drinking, I'll take one now.
Well, it was also it brings this like thing that you would associate with kind of being a burnout and a loser. My whole life, like getting baked, playing pinball, like I loved it. I just liked doing fucking drugs and playing pinball. And even like the coffee shop there, that I lived above in Chicago for many years, had pinball and just get baked and take a nice fresh bipper and go down and play some, drink all night, play pinball. Like being in the gang kind of up that.
Yeah, we had goals. We had goals to put up initials throughout the whole city.
Man, it wasn't like, and then it also like introduced me into like the tournament. We started throwing them tournaments and them weeklies. Jason Americo and them would throw them in the air and throw them Taxi Tuesdays and all them. And
yeah, we were kind of the first group to take advantage of the IFPA points too.
Yeah,
we just exploited the hell out of those.
Yeah, we did.
We had every week there was a new tournament with a different name.
Yeah. Remember how the real way to do it though was we found out that you could have those 7-point tournaments at the same bar and they would all count together for some reason. Like he would just
you do like 4 in 1
couldn't
year
do more than 4.
Like
and then he would add up the 4 you won. So if you won all 4, man, like that was a big boost in ranking in those days.
Yeah, it was cool. I cracked the top 100
me too.
Just basically from weekly tournaments.
Yeah, there was like 4 CFFers who had cracked it. I think you, me, Death Save, that's 3. I think Noah cracked it. Aaron definitely cracked it. There was somebody else too who would like creep. But everybody was in like the top 200-300.
Yeah. And then you also, every place you worked at in Portland usually had pinball too.
Pinball too, man. I was still a bartender and all that.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy to be a bartender in recovery. No temptation. You have strong will, it seems like. To me.
Yeah. I don't know. I kind of believe in playing the tape forward, Mm-hmm. and I, as much as I'd like to get fucked, I just, if you don't pick it up, you won't get drunk. If you don't pick a bag of dope up and throw it in a cooker and throw it, cook it up, stick it in your arm, you won't get loaded. You don't stick a cigarette in your mouth and light it up. So I don't want to test that.
Yeah.
I've tested it with like cigarettes, nicotine, stuff like this, and I'm just back on full force,
Yeah, you test your limits. You see that you can't give an inch with the hard stuff.
Right. And that was all in my 20s, man. Like, I just wanted that to be over. I couldn't wait for it to be over. I tried everything. It didn't work. Finally, I moved to Portland. I made some solid friends. I found this gang that I wanted to be a part of, I had this big tattooed dude who's nicknamed after Dynamite. And
he gave you this like straight edge tattoo on your back? Is that what he did?
It's what's my Youth of Today tattoo?
Yeah.
What's the Krishna one though that he turned into?
Oh yeah.
Ray Capo. Shelter. Was that Ray Capo? Ray of Today, yeah.
So yeah, in conclusion, pinball helped you recover from being a junkie.
I would say it had it was a very, very, like almost as equal. I would say like 30% friends. I guess so. I'd say we throw that into CFF too, but let's say like 60% friends, like 40% still being able to live a normal life and have some fun, some socially, that's not sitting in some church or at some damn, like sober dance with like a Motley Crue cover band or something. Like, oh my God, I hated all that stuff. They'd like have dance parties and everybody be in there dancing to Guns N' Roses. I just rolled out of Chicago, like hip hop and
wasn't your style.
House, like the bangingest DJs. I knew some of like the bangingest DJs in the world and MCs and and musicians, and then I'm like She got mild that it seems to me. I swear to God, the first time I went out, I went to that, what's that 80s club? The one above that was in like Vaseline Alley. It's still there, the Fez maybe? Is that what it's called?
Oh
The
yeah,
Fez?
yeah.
I went there with some people that I met in NA, and this is kind of before I met anybody in CFF, or maybe around the same time, but I swear to God, they were dancing to like loving an elevator, living it up and I'm going down, and everybody was like going crazy. And they like put on like a Nirvana song or something. I didn't make the connection that like he's kind of from there, you know. And everybody went nuts, man. I was like, this sucks. This sucks. This is like, what am I in? The white man's paradise is Danny B's hell. We're loving an elevator.
Yeah, glad you got an Aerosmith reference in this episode.
Living it up and going down.
All right, I gotta get back to work soon. Lightning round. You ready? Lightning round.
Yeah,
Fast
lightning
answers.
Round. All right.
Jerry only or Jerry Garcia?
Jerry Garcia. I know that's a weird for me to say, but
I knew you'd answer that.
Jerry
I
Garcia. Jerry, that's a great one, man. God, that is a tough one. But yeah, I mean, I got to give props to Jerry only, though. Like, he kept the shit going with, man, I hate that Michael Graves. Jerry Garcia.
Yeah, you almost got pissed at me the other day when I asked you about Michael Graves. I was like, what do you think?
I hate that
and
guy.
you're like, I'm getting pissed.
Oh, my God. I hated what Eddie Vedder sang for the Misfits.
Man, that's the only lightning round one I have. It's a lightning round. I had another one, but I don't have my notes in front of me. It was like, what would you prefer, Roadshow or Jackpot?
Jackpot.
Oh, okay.
I know that's crazy, too, on the quick answer, but
Uh-huh.
man, Jackpot's so sweet. There's just so much. It's so deep. You could just
Roadshow's
go
deep,
safe.
though.
You
You gotta
just go for
travel.
the safe. Yeah, Roadshow's deep, but
Trade your goods.
you can like, yeah, but to really crank up Roadshow, like, you have to get lucky on the goods. You know, you have to like score. Like, there was one time when I broke the world record,
Yeah, I remember that.
and when they used to just have the world record like posted up on some weird like site. It was so weird. And I hit a ridiculous amount of loot for some reason. I would just hit. I got like 50 lassos or something like that, and then I hit Texas, and it was over. It was over. I hit like at least 11 air fresheners, man. When I got back into New York, you know, a couple times through, I think my bonus was up to like 4 billion or something like that.
I bet you wish, like,
Then you just had to max the bonus.
I bet you wish those things could translate to real life. Like, you finish the game and then the machine just dispenses out 14 air fresheners,
It's just 14
50 lassos.
Lasso, that'd be sick. There was the one game that gave you the Pogues, Safecracker.
Oh,
Did you ever play one that paid out?
No, I never. I played one. I think it was Shorty's or the Northwest Pinball Show had one, but it didn't pay
It's
out.
probably Todd McCulloch's. I played that one at IFPA finals one time when they were at McCulloch's house, and me and what's his name? It must have been. God, what was it? It was somebody's kid who's like a really good player now. It wasn't Usher or whatever. Is that his name? Usher. MC Usher. God, I'd be so pissed
Close
if I got
enough.
beat by a kid.
Yeah.
MC Usher. It wasn't him, but it was, God, what was that? It was some short Italian dude. I can't remember his name now. His kids were cool as fuck, though. We ganked all of, we went on some Italian shit and ganked all the Pogues and Safecracker from Tom McCulloch. And Julie Gray was like, "You're putting those back, aren't you?" And we were like, "Yep." And I like left the room and I'm all shing shing shing, and homeboy's kid was like ping ling ching 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 ching, pockets just chinging. Good chat.
Good chat. All right, we got to end it. Thanks for coming around. Thanks for dipping, Danny.
Yeah, I got some toys on the shelf.
We're not even going to talk about your toys on your show.
Danny's got a couple toys on the shelf. B.
Doesn't matter. You can describe them all.
Danny
in the
Backglass.
addendum. We'll have a special
Belarus.
episode where you catalog your toys. But for now,
My new name is Danny Backglass Rodriguez de la Rosa.
nice. Till next time. Tips and Tactics. In this Tips and Tactics segment, we're going to chat for just a couple minutes about operators and how you can get operators more involved in using the map. We had a comment about asking that we address this, and we do have things on the site that can help operators. I mean, basically, the pinball map has two overall goals. Those two goals are help people find machines and help businesses that choose to have machines thrive. We want to help those businesses and help those people. So we have a number of things on the site to help operators, one of which you as an operator might not know about. And even if you're not an operator, this could be useful to you because you can tell your operator friends. And we do have something like 274 operators listed on the map. And a fair amount take advantage of this tip and by using this tactic. But a lot don't, but they might want to if they knew about it. Here it is. If you're an operator, you can get tagged at a location like Water Trough Saloon is operated by Quarter World, and that's data on our site. And Quarter World has elected to have their email address in our system, and nobody sees it, but it's in there. And what happens if somebody leaves a comment on one of their machines, once a day they'll get a digest of all the comments left on their machine. And so that's the tip, is that you can get an automated message telling you what machine comments have been left on your machines. And a lot of operators find this to be really useful because a lot of the comments are related to problems with machines. And it's an easy way for them to keep on top of issues with their machines. You know, there are other ways. A lot of times people write down notes and give them to the bar, but those don't always make it to the operator. So our goal is that operators will use the map. And I mean, I would say that we get locations suggested to the map, and we get machines added and removed to and from the map. And a huge amount of those edits are done by operators. I mean, like, we have a lot of operators using the site. I don't know, maybe half of all those are done by operators. Wow. Because that's just kind of a wild guess, but a lot of them use it. And I think it's because they see the value in the site, and that's great. That's what we want it to be valuable for them. We want it to help their business. We want it to be useful and easy for them, thus the automated messages. And as a fun aside, yesterday we had an operator in the Philadelphia region, Lansdale Amusements, who have a lot of locations in that area. They just purchased from us 5 pinball map t-shirts, and I sent them today, and I asked her, I was like just wondering why you bought 5. I actually asked her, did you mean to buy 5? Because I thought it might have been a mistake. And she said that she's giving them to her service technicians to wear. And I just thought that was really, really awesome because, yeah. I mean, I don't know. It shows that she likes pinball map enough and sees it as valuable enough to have her technicians actually wear our t-shirts as they go out.
Yeah, getting operators on board is huge for everybody, users and operators. I'll say, as a user, I feel like it's huge for me. I would hope that it's equally useful for operators.
Yeah, I think, like in Portland, the operators are really on board. Quarter World and Mike Mahaffey and stuff like that. Chris
Rhodes, out of order.
Chris Rhodes, he's an operator and friend of the show. They regularly, once a week or once every other week, will kind of start rotating machines around, and they just update the map as they go. And you could just see that they made 20 map updates today. And it's really cool that they're that on top of it. But yeah, that's a nice little tip for operators. Or if you're an operator, or you know an operator, how can they get their email in our system? First off, we won't add your email without you explicitly telling us it's okay, because we don't want to start sending unsolicited daily digests of machine comments to you. So you need to just contact us, contact your regional administrator, or contact the map, which is pinballmap.com/contact, and tell us you want your email in, tell us your operator name, and then we'll add it, and that's it.
Thanks for that tip.
You betcha.
Well, I guess that's about it. I guess that's our time for this month.
Yeah, I guess that wraps it up.
I feel like we got through a lot of interesting topics. There was some fun mixed in there, which is nice.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. If you have any things you want us to cover, specific questions about how the map works or whatever, please get in contact with us.
Yeah, we're especially interested to talk to operators and site admins to get your thoughts and experiences using the site. If you're interested in being interviewed for this podcast in one of those capacities, please reach out. Okay, well, I guess I'll talk to you in a month, Ryan. See you later.
Yeah. See ya.
Bye.
Bye.
Shut up and go home. And drive carefully.